Hey guys, here's another video tutorial on sketching the female face using guidelines. I'm using a reference photo, and I want to give a special thanks to Karin for helping me out and posing for this new concept character. This is going to be a longer video that I'm going to release down the road, but for this tutorial we're just going to focus on sketching her face. So as you can see, we start out with the usual guidelines of the face. The eyes are generally located halfway down the face, so you want to divide the face into 4 sections, halfway for the eyes with a horizontal line, and then use a vertical line to divide the face in half to get that symmetry. So her face is turned at a 3/4 view, which means you don't see a quarter of her face, but you do see 3/4 of the rest of it. So here I'm gently erasing my guidelines and rebuilding them up. In Corel Painter, I use the eraser tool or brush, taking it down to a very low opacity, say about 5%. And just enough to erase most of the guidelines so I can rebuild them. And I'm drawing on a middle layer, which is the same layer of the sketch, and the layer on top of that will be the actual art itself, the final layer. So on the sketch layer, I'm not really concerned about everything being perfect because it's still going to be kind of like a template. Here I'm just correcting the eyes, making sure that they're lined up to each other so they don't appear crooked. One of the things about drawing eyes on a face is you want them to line up, the top of the eyelids and the bottom of the eyelids. But more importantly, you want them to look correct. And here's the positioning, just to show you guys where I place things. So the eyes were halfway down, and then the nose is about 1/3 of the way down from the eyes. And if you divide the lower part of the jaw in half again, you'll get a general idea of where the lip should go. So these are the general guides that I like to follow, and for the most part they help out, but you always want to rely on reference. So if you're drawing an actual live person, the only downside for that is that they might tend to move a lot. So if you're working off of a photograph, you can go back to it later and really concentrate on putting things in the proper places. Of course, it's always a good idea to practice drawing from life. So if you're able to find a model that can sit still for 30 minutes and you can draw most of that person's face in that time, that's great. But I always tend to just take a photo or several photos during a photo shoot, and later on I'll pick the best ones that I like for the job. So I'm making my gray lines now on the art layer, and this is where the actual sketch of her face will be more final. And as I sketch it, I'm paying attention to the shadows also of her face and just getting only the most important lines that I need. The brush that I'm working with right now is the Dull Conte brush, and I like using a medium gray tone, and I keep the opacity fairly low. This allows me to have that effect of a pencil, so it gives it a more chalky and more grainy effect, which is one of the things I like about this brush. It's become one of my favorite brushes, and I start out all of my sketches with this brush. I could use other brushes like the pencil or pen or even the tinting brush, but I always go back to this Conte or Dull Conte. There's just something about it that mimics the look of pencil more than the other brushes. When you're drawing eyes, you want to be careful not to get caught up in the details. You just want to look at the dark areas and fill them in general. Get your basic shading done, like your strong shadows. Some of the hair strands that I'm doing right now is just for filler, just to get the effect of hair down. I'm not worried about the details of it yet. That's going to come later. So now we're going to add some shadows and values to the face here, and I'm correcting some of my artwork by using the eraser tool and rebuilding it just as I would if I were drawing with pencil on paper. The thing with software though is you can actually move some items around, which is harder to do on paper. But if you're coming out with a digital final artwork, then of course it's really convenient. And I'll show you how I adjust some of these features of the face in a little bit. So I'm just rebuilding my sketch. Here I went with a darker gray to get some of the darker shadows of her face, and I'm starting to actually do some of the painting effects. So the lighter gray was pretty much just like a foundation to help me get started, and now I went with the lighter tone for the eyes, because white of the eyes are usually never completely pure white. They have a little bit of gray in them for the most part, because they're usually in shadow. And one rule of thumb to remember is that anything that stays white on a drawing or a painting is a really reflective surface, and there has to be a reason why it's white. Either it's a color that's white, or it's just really shiny and reflective. So the final version of this face, she'll have a tone all throughout her face, and even the highlights won't be completely white. They'll have color in them. So here I'm just using a really light tone, the same Conte brush, to start filling in some of the shadow work. And I'm using straight hatching lines to quickly get my shadows in there. I'm not too worried about smoothing my lines yet. I'm just building up the general shape of the face. So I went back to a darker tone, and now I'm adding the darker shadows. So I'm just using different values of gray at this point to help me find the right values and tones. Always working on the grayscale. I'm not even using 100% black yet. Stay away from black until the last possible moment, because only some parts of a person's image will have black. One example would be like the pupils of the eyes might be 100% black. So here I chose a darker gray to build up some darker shadows, adding some more details, the hair, defining the jawline, and I'm also going to do a major step, which is going to be rotating her head just a little bit to get it closer to the my reference. I'm also going to adjust her lips, and I'm going to move them a little bit to the left. And you can do all this stuff in Corel Painter by using the selection tools. And all these tools have flyout menus, so I'm going to choose the oval selection tools to do some of these tasks. Here I'm just showing you guys a little bit of what her costume will look like. So now I select her entire face, and I'm choosing the scale tool, which is right inside this adjuster tool, and I choose rotate to tilt her head a little bit clockwise, and just enough to match it to the reference photo. Once you're done, you hit enter. And one more thing I'm going to adjust are going to be her lips. I'm just going to move them a little bit to the left, and you can do that just by using the selector tool. You don't have to rotate it at all. The layer adjuster is the same as your move tool, and I just shifted it a little bit to the left. When I was done, I hit enter, and it stayed in place. So this is the end of the tutorial here, just sketching the female face. Hope you guys enjoy. Hey guys, thanks for watching. We have more drawing and digital art tutorials on our channel, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again.